Coast Guard, Alaska.
Coast Guard Air Station Kodiak, Lieutenant Maloney. We just launched the 60 to go down to Dutch Harbor for a vessel that ran aground and is abandoning ship. They were in the western side of the harbor with 4 people on board, and they were gonna get in their survival suits and abandon ship. So we're sending people down there right now, try to hoist them out of the water and get them to safety. They're in Unalaska Bay, outside of Dutch Harbor. The weather out there is pretty bad. Winds are out of the west at about 50 knots, gusting over 70 knots. It's rainy, about 1.5 miles of visibility, so it'll be challenging for the helicopter to go out and find them. Winds 50 gusting to 69 in Dutch Harbor right now, 1.5 mile visibility. Sweet. So it's gonna be fun. We're gonna get rock clears the whole way there. Cool? Anything else we want or need? Barf bag? Yeah.
Get ready as fast as I can, rush out to the plane. I find out it's a boat that, from what I've heard so far, is run aground, and the 4 people have jumped off the boat. And that's as much as I knew at that point.
Compensate Kodiak, Coast Guard Hilo 6010, 6010. We're off at minute 47, we have 5 POV. Any updates?
And roger, the 4 people, they do have survival suits. They're gonna try to swim to shore and kind of hunker down there until they can get rescued.
We had a successful launch, and we got airborne over Kodiak. We were able to go direct to Coal Bay, so over the spine of the mountains here in Kodiak. And during that time, we learned that the 4 survivors had gotten off their boat onto the shore.
And these guys might be a tad cold. I don't know what their ability is. If they're hypothermic, they might not be able to even get in the basket.
Yep, understood. Well, if they are hypothermic, you want to sling them up or still want to get them in the basket?
Depends on how bad they are.
They were basically on land. It was a beach, but everything else was rocky all around them. So they really couldn't get any boats in there to get them. I was thinking about the people that were actually on the beach. I knew they'd be in survival suits, but I still know that in a survival suit in Alaska, it can be pretty cold. There's still heavy seas and heavy winds. The winds were strong enough where they thought the boat was going to tip over. I was concerned how they'd fare out.
All right, sea state wind evaluations. Won't know the sea state until we get there, but wind's going to be pouring over the mountain from the west, approximately 3-5 knots, and should present some downdrafts to us. That's a hazard. Obstacle is a pretty big cliff to the northwest.
My only thought process is we're going to get kicked out of us, most likely.
Permission to go on gunners, make room for survivors?
Yeah, for guys, just once you're on the gunners belt, please have a hold of something.
Roger.
So I can see the cat buzz up here in front of us.
We arrived on scene to find them at the bottom of a cliff with about 20 feet of shoreline that they were on, way too close for us to be able to hoist them from the cliff. So we decided to pull in a hover and discuss our options, figure out the best way to get these guys off the beach and into the helicopter without putting ourselves in a bad situation.
That's a tight fit. Yeah, that is going to be rough, huh? I do see a bunch of rocks there. Shoot, look at that waterfall, just blowing sideways. Yeah.
As we're getting into the area, the conditions were just outrageous out there. All we saw were these monster cliffs everywhere. The wind was raging. They had their back up to a cliff. There was crashing waves. It was crazy. We didn't know. We knew we had ideas what we were gonna do, but we passed it around in the cockpit what was gonna happen and how we're gonna approach this.
Look at those waves crashing compared to the size of their bodies. They're actually bigger than you think.
Yeah. Go in and drag them up there, and then try and pull them off that way.
You're going against the current right there.
Yeah, I was going against everything.
Yeah.
We pulled into a hover, probably a good 50 yards offshore, to assess basically how we were going to lower me down or how we were going to get these guys off.
Whoop. Goes torque over. Torque. You say single, torque back out again.
At that point, a downward wind gust, hit the helicopter, and we started basically dropping out of the sky.
All of a sudden, we start feeling the helicopter shake. I hear one of the pilots say, torque, 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 or up, up.
Oh, there's torque, torque. Oh,
Pull up.
We're frozen. We're like, we're going in the water. We're just sitting there. We're like, oh no. I look out the cabin door to my right, and the water's just kind of getting closer to the cabin. I remember just hanging on to the cabin. thinking, all right, we're just gonna hang on and see what happens.
All right. Bill, you like what's going on?
Yeah.
All right. That was a hell of a downdraft.
Yeah.
We were heading for the water. Whatever you had to do, you did it.
Yeah.
Those downdrafts were a big gut check. That's the first time I've had that experience. I've got a little bit of mountain flying training. We've all been in some downdrafts, little downdrafts here and there. But for the 60 with our big engines to not be able to overcome it, pulling max power and still descending towards the water, that was a eye-opening experience.
I'm thinking we're not going to be able to hoist them off that shore right there. I was about to say the same thing. I think they're going to have to make his way to shore. Yeah, they're in survival suits. Yep. I'll bet you put you in there and you go get down.
We discussed that we're gonna put Rashid in the water, up current, let him swim down to the guys in the water. And at this time, Mr. Flipowitz announces, hey, the guys are getting in the water.
Oh, don't get in the water, dude. Stay. He's swimming out to us.
They all just jumped in the water. They're swimming towards us. We're like, oh no, this is something that we don't like to see. I mean, it just kind of changes everything because now we're gonna be chasing 4 guys in the surf, floating around in the ocean. Who knows what's gonna happen? It's dangerous.
Oh, don't get in the water, dude. Stay. He's swimming out to us.
There were 4 people in the water. They abandoned ship and they're out there floating.
Okay. Going off ICS. But love you guys.
Love you too, man. Be safe.
Before he got out, he said, I love you guys. I remember saying, I love you too, man, or something like that. He kind of gave me a smile and he's like, let's do this. We decided to pull into a very high hover. They were going to be some of the highest hoists that I have ever done.
I'm bringing you swimmer cabin door. Ready for one swimmer rescue swimmer. Yeah, definitely one.
Roger. If you have target set, you can be in the hoist.
Section swimmer.
Roger.
Swimmer's ready.
Right there. Roger. And go for it. Slide back a little
Swimmer's
bit.
outside, swimmer's going down. Slide left a little bit. Swimmer's below the aircraft.
The original plan really was for me to get lowered down, swim to shore, and I'd take one guy off at a time, bring him out, put him in the basket, go back for another one to shore, and continue the process. When the guys jumped in, they basically made it so we had no choice in the matter, and I got lowered down to swim right to him.
This will be a basket to the water from Rashid from 90 feet.
Roger, basket's outside. Basket's going down. Look good.
So I got the basket out and we started bringing it to Rashid, and the way everything was happening, it just went so smooth. I got that basket and it just landed right next to him. It was amazing. He put the survivor in there and I brought him up.
Basket's inside cabin. Driver's getting out of the basket.
As soon as he was going up, I immediately went back for the other 3 guys. There was one guy that was out front. I ended up getting to him first. It happened to be the captain of the boat. He asked actually to if I could get him last. And I said, at this point, it's first come, first served. And that's when I noticed one of the other crew members stopped swimming. He was actually drifting toward the rocks again.
All right, he's got one guy. He's slowly starting to swim away from the group.
So I went for the guy that was drifting toward the rocks. I grabbed him, made sure that he was at least relatively okay. He said his knee hurt, so I just grabbed him, swam to the 3rd guy with him, had them interlock arms and started swimming with both of them till I reached the captain.
All right, rescue check is complete right for 1 second. Basket, recovery of the survivor.
Roger. And if you have target set, you can be in the hoist.
At that point, the basket was coming down for the helicopter. I told the guys just to keep kicking. I ended up getting the captain into the basket. He went up, I went back for the 2 other guys.
Basket's just outside cabin door. Basket's inside the cabin. Just get the survivor in the seat.
The way, I can't even explain it. It was amazing where the basket was landed.
That survivor, survivor's getting the basket.
Everything was just perfect. The basket would land in between everybody. He would throw somebody in, bring him back up, and do it all over again.
Basket's inside cabin. Hoist complete.
They went up into the aircraft, and then I'm expecting either the basket or the strop to come down for me. And that's when I see the helicopter take a little bit of turbulence and then start dropping again.
Fly out. Take out a little torque.
Pull up.
You're good. Hold it. Just get the nose over.
We hit one of the last downdrafts from this cliff. I think it was probably the scariest one we had. I felt the helicopter pretty much shaking and falling, and all I could think of was Rashid's in the water. and we're gonna fall on top of them or something.
A little torque. You're good. Hold it right there. You're good. Yep.
I remember diving for the DMB, which is the data marker buoy. Part of our emergencies is to throw the DMB and throw the life raft for the swimmer in the water if we're gonna go down or if we're gonna go in a fly-out condition.
I got DMB in hand. Let me know. No, we're coming back to him.
I saw him nose over the plane. I was all by myself in the water, and I started yelling, "Pull up, pull up." They were able to pull out at about 25 feet, make another go around, another pass. They lowered the strop, and as fast as I could hook up, I hooked up. They pulled me up, and we got out of there as quick as we could.
Outside cabin door. So we're in the cabin.
The hoisting of this case was the big thing. The downdrafts, the people jumping in the water, that really made this one stand out. It's right there tied with the hardest SAR case I've done in the Coast Guard and here in Alaska. It's definitely gonna stay with me for a long time, and I'll be telling the story well into my 80s, I'm sure.
Ready for forward flight? Okay. There's one guy with possible injury. Okay. All right, 4 landing triplets for reef.
Out of all the other hoists and SAR cases that I've been on, I would say this is probably the most demanding SAR case that I had, due to definitely the weather, on-scene conditions, just the huge, I don't even know how tall this cliff was, but it was a monster and it was making our job very difficult.
Nice job, gentlemen. That was a hell of a hoisting evolution.
You doing okay? Your knee, left knee, or your shin?
Yeah, left knee. I got a big rock snapping me.
We just did a quick once-over on everybody once we had the door open and get everybody out of the plane. And we also had a medical unit from Dutch Harbor come and take a look at each individual. I don't know who I got first. Was that you? I was planning, I was going to go in, grab each one of you one at a time, and then you made a quick decision for us. But no, it was impressive for you guys getting off the beach. I know you guys went through a lot.
It's about the roughest I've seen. I mean, we've been through, 50s, 60s, 70s before, but this was just outrageous. Well, we're all pretty cold, wet, tired, and just at the mercy of the sea at that point. Ended up getting us pushed further up on the rocks, and we got pinned in between 2 big boulders in the water, so that was it. Lost the prop, lost the tranny, lost the anchor, then just the beach came up next. Cliff started coming down.
Oh
Yeah, big old boulders. Like,
Really?
big rocks like this, coming up the cliff, right on the boat.
Crayon and
Making boulders like the size of a small SUV coming down. It's crazy.
They were pretty lucky considering all the conditions that happened that night and everything that they just went through to be able to walk off the helicopter after we picked them up, which is pretty amazing. Don't always get to see that.
One of those rocks ends up right in the side of my knee. When I got it x-rayed, he flat out told me, yeah, it's broken. I've seen a Coast Guard helicopter fly, so yeah, it was just incredible. Thanks a lot, guys, for coming out there, and pretty rough. Thanks a lot, really appreciate it.
Obviously, the training and commitment that they have, and the very fact that I was rescued, that's had a profound effect on my family and friends.
It's a positive thing. Coming here was positive today.
Yeah, it is.